And then, and here, I think when Indian masters, when they, when they are talking on the sutras, then it's very important to talk about 5 perfections. So the way of the Indian masters, when they are giving teachings on the Buddha's scriptures, and then they express first 5 perfections. So therefore, I think I would like to also talk about 5 perfections. Why these 5 perfections is important is that maybe through the 5 perfections, may we really know about the Buddha, really Buddha. Today, most of our original beings, when we imagine of the Buddha, we imagine of like these statues. Of course, different traditionals, there is different Buddhas imagine, but mostly we imagine of the Buddha's picture. And that means, and we think that Buddha was passed away. That way we think Buddha was like some kind of great teacher. And that way we think Buddha is Indian. Or some people think that Buddha was Nepalese, right? So when we talk about 5 perfections, I think then maybe Buddha is not only Nepalese, Indians, or sometimes appear, sometimes disappear, but Buddha can be all the time. So I want to express, one of the Longchenpa's teaching about these 5 perfections. And he was telling 2 things of the 5 perfections. Generally, 5 perfections, I think we know. Perfection place, perfection teacher, perfection teaching, retenue, time, etc., right? And he was telling 2 things. And one is he talk about more ultimate levels of the 5 perfections. And one we talk about relative 5 perfections. So, and then ultimate levels of the 5 perfection, and then we have to understand of the 3 kaya, embodiment of the 3 kayas of the Buddha. Not only Nimana kayas. This is Nimana kayas, form of the Nimana kaya. And Nimana kaya, some followers, like Theravada followers, they to believe that Buddha is like Nimanakaya form and impermanent, and he became paranirvana, etc., like almost human beings. And then when we talk about embodiment of the 3 kaya is much more profound than that. So here they're talking about the embodiment of the 3 kaya. Then the Dhammakaya levels, Sambhoga kayas, Nirvana kayas. So this 3 kaya is also embodiment or oneness and not like separate. So when we talk about that Sambhoga kaya, what you can see, actually when we hear of this Sambhoga kaya means that I think generally, the translators, they talk about primordial Buddhas, right? And sometimes they're talking about primordial Buddhas, and there was one, anyway, in Tibet we call Kundu Zombo. So always perfect. So when you talk about this, Samatha Buddha or primordial Buddha, even this word, one word, is really very big. So, when you hear the primordial Buddha, or maybe sometimes they talk about first Buddha, but I think the first Buddha I'm not sure this is really correct, but primordial Buddha, it means never ever kind of being in the samsara. All the time is beginning is enlightened. So in that is we call the we call Samantabhadra Buddhas. And then when you talk about the Buddha Shakyamuni, and when we hear about Buddha Shakyamuni, and then we say that Buddha Shakyamuni has been 3 countless eons collecting accumulation merit and became enlightenment. So these 2 things are very contradiction. The reality, the 3 kaya is oneness, never separate. Nimada kaya, Sambhoga kaya, Samantabhadra Buddha, or Dharmakaya is a oneness. And then at the same time we hear things. Buddha Shakyamuni is like, as I mentioned, 3 countless eons accumulated, and he was enlightened in Bodh Gaya, and so on and so forth. And how these 2 things are really possible, If this oneness, then Buddha Shakyamuni has been already enlightenment a long time, or never become being in samsara, never need to be on accumulation merit and etc., right? Because Nimanakaya is oneness of the Samantabhadra. So I want to express that a little bit for all of us to understand. So therefore, now here, this is again. So new things are. So anyway, the Samantabhadra, or oneness of these 3 kayas, I think we say. So Longchen Ranjangpa's teachings, they're talking about new moon, and then full moon, and then water moon. This is really very good kind of, how you could say, I think, to understand, very good examples. So when you talk about, when we hear about Samantabhadra, and that means Samantabhadra is kind of all the time is enlightened, enlightened. Of course, there is something we need to express, but I don't go to very deep, but you could understood the all the time enlightenment. But the Samantabhadra is not appears to everyone, not appears to everyone. And then, so like new moon. So new moon is not, how you say, the moon is not disappeared. And new moon means the moon do not appear. We cannot see, but moon is there. Do you believe that? New moon is always there, right? Okay, well, let's say otherwise, moon is always there, but sometimes new moon, sometimes full moon, sometimes water moon. Maybe that is another way to express. However, the Dhammakaya is invisible, but it's there. And then, due to the days, and there is full moon, until this become full moon, and moon kind of developed every days, and then full moon. And full moon is more like Sambhogakaya. And it is not really exactly same as new moon, but never separate of the new moons. So Sambhogakaya is like more we call full moons. And then the water moons, that full moon is only can be manifesting to the every and each of the water pods. So Nimanakaya of the Buddha is that depends on the, we say, sentient beings' merit. If we have enough merit, Buddha appears. So Buddha Shakyamuni was appeared because of the world or human realm's merit of the pot. So when Buddha appears in this world, again, there's many different ways to understood. In Hinayana says that Buddha was very ordinary beings and he accumulate merit and become enlightenment. And then Mahayana practitioners, they are talking about he was human being, but extraordinary human beings, already awakened human beings. However, those are because of the pot, you can see very beautiful moon in the water if your water is totally pure, no winds, you can see very clearly. But in your water pot was maybe dusty or there is a lot of winds, you have to wait so long time to see this moon in that water pot. Likewise, some people see very ordinary but become very full moon, in their pots. And some people didn't see at all as Buddha. So all this Nivanakaya is really reflection of the Sambhogakaya, like full moon. And Sambhogakaya is never separate of this, how you should say, Dhammakaya or new moon. So these three moons are now like, it's oneness actually. So Nimanakaya can be manifest many different ways, many different places at the one time, at the same time. So therefore, in the human realms, Buddha appeared as Buddha Shakyamuni. But at the same time, there's 6 munis at the same time in the 6 realms. And that is the also reflection of the Sambhogakayas. As how I should say, that moon can be reflection everywhere, all water pots, all lakes, all rivers at the same time. Right? Likewise, so Buddha Shakyamuni like that way. So therefore, we talk about perfect Buddha is not only one kayas, but embodiment of the 3 kayas. And when we really know more deep about 3 kayas, I think then we really know Buddha's teaching. But if we do not know the 3 kaya or embodiment of the 3 kayas, then I think we do not know yet really become really Buddha. So for instance, like Buddha, we talk about really very enlightenment beings. We say that he was accumulated 3 eons. But then at the same time, we think that Buddha was passed away. And his life was like, 80 years old. And that means today everybody can 80 years old live, So, Buddha was like just only 80 years old. We call immortality body, embodiment of the 3 kayas at the same time, and same time we believe of the only 80 years. So actually, this embodiment 3 kaya is never ever appears or disappeared beyond like that. as we say, may possible that all water moons disappeared. That doesn't mean that moon is disappeared. May possible that full moon can be totally disappeared. But that doesn't mean that really moon is disappeared. Moon is always there. But can be disappeared because if we have no enough merit, if you are some wrong place, if you look wrong direction, then water moon will be disappeared, sky moon can be disappeared, but moon never disappeared. Do you believe moon disappeared?
No, we don't believe.
Are you sure? Do you believe Buddha has never disappeared?
I do believe that the Dharmakaya, the body of truth, never disappears.
Sorry?
Dharmakaya, the body of truth.
But still you believe Nimanakaya has disappeared?
It disappears from our senses,
Oh.
from our viewpoint. It doesn't mean that the moon disappears because we don't see it.
You are exactly repeat my teaching, so very good.
I think so.